Hey everybody, Corey MacArthur here, and we are here at the beginning of the year, but we're actually already 4 weeks into January. We're almost a full month into the year, and statistically speaking, I just heard this the other day, that at this point in the year, the majority of people have already given up on their New Year's resolutions, or they've quit, and they've kind of failed at what they set out or resolved to do. And if you're not one of those people, kudos to you. Congratulations, you're certainly not the majority of people. And for all those other people that set resolutions and have already fallen off the wagon, this video might be for you. And I wanted to share with you a little bit some of the things that I did differently this year that have allowed me to kind of stay on track with my goals, because certainly in previous years I've been like that majority who's kind of fallen off the wagon and really just not stayed on track with their goals. So the first thing, one of the big mistakes that I used to make is I used to make a laundry list of all the things that I wanted to do in that year, all the goals that I had, and all the new things that I wanted to start or habits I wanted to create, and it just became so overwhelming. And you know, you've probably heard it said before, but you know, creating new habits or new routines is much like, you know, getting a locomotive going, right? Like it takes a ton of energy and effort to get it started, but once it gets going, good luck stopping it, right? But if you're trying to do that with, like, let's say 15 different things, it just takes so much effort and so much energy, and that energy is divided across so many different areas that none of them actually get going. So my rule of thumb this year that I used was I was only going to set 2 to 4 goals. That was it. That's all it could be. And outside of that, I even backed it out a little bit further than that. And this year, this is the neat thing that I did that I'm excited about, and it provides perspective for me. But what I did is I started creating themes for my year, or themes for my goals, or where I wanted to head. And I got this from somebody else, but a theme, like in a book or any good story, it's kind of the overarching storyline or direction that something is heading, and that's what I did this year. So it could be very simple, like I want to improve my relationship with my spouse, I want to increase my net worth, I want to get into better health, I want to improve my relationships with my kids, or anything like that. It's just very overarching, very non-specific. And then come the goals, and that's where you lay out the goals under each one of those themes. And again, keep it to 2 to 4, and this is where you get a bit more specific. So for example, if it's around your health, if you want to let's say increase your muscle mass by a certain percentage, or drop a certain amount of pounds, or be able to run a certain distance, those are very specific goals. But then you have to ask yourself the question, okay, how am I actually going to do that? And that's when you put the systems in place. So it goes themes, goals, systems. And the systems are what is going to be the roadmap, or kind of the manual on how you're actually going to get to those goals that you've set out for yourself, so that at the end of the year you can look back and be like, man, that theme that I created for myself, I'm actually moving in that direction, right? You know, it's not to use too many analogies, especially around trains and now a ship, but a ship is, you have so many different tools, right? When you set out in a certain direction, and you can change the direction of the sails or the rudder, and you know, all those little tools are like the goals and the systems that you put in place, and the ship is kind of like the theme or the direction you're heading in. So if that helps keep it in your mind, then great. If not, then just forget I mentioned it. The other part that I did this year that I actually started last year, because I got to this point where I was like, man, I set all these goals at the beginning of the year, and some of them I'm moving in that direction. Some of them I just completely didn't even get started on. And a big part of that was because I set the goals at the beginning of 2018, and by the fall or the summer, they maybe just weren't relevant to me anymore, or they just weren't as important, or other factors had changed, and it just shifted where my focus was. So My recommendation to you, and this is what I did, is I set a 12-week goal or themes for 12 weeks, or some people like to call them quarters. But if you lay out your 12 weeks, it's just a shorter time frame, and it's much more manageable. It's much more tangible also to lay out, okay, this week I'm going to do this, and it's easier to see kind of the light at the end of the tunnel. So shorten up that time frame. Use only those 2 to 4 goals and themes in your life, and then create some systems around it. And that's where you're going to develop those new habits and those new actions and routines in your life to actually move you forward towards those goals and those themes that you've set out for yourself. And just keep in mind that you're probably unhappy somewhere in your life, whether it's with your health or your net worth or your relationship with your kids or your spouse, and I don't mean like really, really unhappy. I just mean like you would love to improve it. And just keep in mind that where you're at is kind of the lagging indicator of the actions that you've taken in the past. So you really, a lot of times, only have yourself to blame. So change those actions, change those habits. Remember that it's a lot of hard work, and that's why you only pick a few. Just focus on a few things. Even 4 is a lot of things to focus on and put all that effort and action into. So I hope that this has created maybe some clarity for you. Remember, you're only a quitter if you stay quit, I guess, or if you fully never get started again. For now, let's just call yourself a stopper. You're stopping for a little bit, you're recalibrating, and you're going to get going again. A stopper is much better than a quitter, and so don't be a quitter. Refocus on what those goals are. Maybe reframe them. Maybe even set some different ones that are more attainable or more realistic, and then get going on them. So I hope this has been helpful. I would love for you to share maybe what one of your big goals are, or if you've ever used the idea of themes in your life, or if you might think that would be helpful. But I would love some feedback on where you guys are heading, where your life is heading this year. Would love to interact with you, and leave your comments and thoughts down below. So other than that, I hope you're having a fantastic day, and hopefully we'll chat soon. Take care. Bye-bye.